Hello everyone, I am Rod and I am the game design instructor for the Academy of Entertainment Arts over at Dixie Hollins High School. If you are one of my students, it's Mr. Flowers to you, and welcome to this video tutorial. Good evening. Today, as promised, I'm going to go over how to do UV mapping on our wonderful character here. I do not have my hair up, but if you are getting ready to do UV mapping, I'd recommend smoothing your model. So right now I have it in smooth display, and this is the rough view. And while we could UV this rough view, I really don't want to, just because it's not as sectioned as I would like it to be, and you'll kind of see what I mean in just a second. So before I go into anything too detailed, I will smooth this once more. So if you haven't already smoothed yours, or if you're continuing on from the hair video, you might be okay. But since I have not yet smoothed mine, I will go ahead and do that. Again, I'm going to be using the subdivision type. That's the Maya Catmull Clark. And if that was a little bit too quick for you, that's under Mesh, and then Smooth Options, the little options box there. And then I will just hit Apply. And there we go. Now, if yours turns yellow like this, it just means you happen to have soft select on. I will turn soft select off by hitting the B key. And I only need one subdivision, so that's fine. And this should be smooth enough to do whatever. Now, we didn't do a mouth on the character, which is okay for now. I'm not going to do a mouth on this particular character because we're going to be going to the game engine. We're not doing mouth animation just yet. We'll save that for a later time. But the importance of UVs, and I get this question all the time, is why are UVs important? And to kind of backtrack a little bit, that has to do with what UVs actually represent. In Maya, we have three coordinates. We have the X, which is this red one, the Y, which is that green one there, and the Z. If I bring up my little movement widget, you can kind of see that here. There's the X, there's Y, and there's Z. So we have three dimensions, right? Well, as far as Maya is concerned, color does not exist in 3D space, it exists in 2D space. So for us to accurately paint on this model, we need to be able to separate this into 2D space. So UVs are just 2D texture space. And then we can paint on it. If I try to paint on this now, for example, if I open up the UV editor, they're kind of everywhere, right? If I hop into Photoshop real quick, so this is a what you'd call a character texture map. And you can see that I have it broken up into several different pieces. I have some areas for the torso, the pants, and shorts, or whatever the character was wearing. Now this is not made for the character that I'm using, but just to give you a case in point, if I were to try to put this on this character, Maya has no idea where to draw the color. It's trying to draw it everywhere. Like, this should be the pants, and it's got some color for the pants, but it also happens to have on the hand the pant legs. It also happens to have on the butt the pant legs kind of stretch across. The pockets are here. All this empty black space is being painted on the character. And while it might look kind of cool for some things, it isn't very useful for others. Right here, you can see it's just multiple iterations of the same texture pattern over and over and over and over again. This is just the UV, or the entire texture map, just copied again and again and again, which isn't very good for what we need. So we have to tell Maya how to read this map, and we do that by setting up our UVs. Let me jump back into shaded mode here, and we will begin UV mapping. First things first, I'm going to save what I currently have, and I will do this, let's say 12, and I'll actually throw UVs on this one. That way I know which one I'm on. Sure. So go ahead and grab your UV editor here and select your model. I'm going to turn the eyes off for now. And then we're going to jump back into Photoshop here, and I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to be doing. Let me hide that one. So as we start to UV, let me get a little illustration point here. What we're really doing is trying to define what our character's shape is going to be. For example, if we were doing a shirt, let's pretend like this is the collar of the shirt. Yeah, there's your arm. Maybe this one goes kind of down there, perspective view, you know. So there's our shirt, right? Well, if you think about a character and the way a character's body is kind of like, so the torso of a character is kind of like a shirt. And as we're doing UVs and we're separating this character out into 2D space, there's going to be seams. There's going to be seams pretty much everywhere. So you want to be able to control those seams. As an artist, we have that option. So I'm going to be cutting this up as though it were in different pieces. The head will be its own UV shell. The arms will be their own separation. And then the torso, we're going to put like a seam sort of on the inside here on both sides. And then that will unwrap, and we'll end up seeing something along the lines of this. So if we take the torso, we would have the bottom of the shirt, kind of like that. And we end up getting this like butterfly kind of effect. Opened up. We'd have the collar of the shirt like right there. And there'd be a seam. Well, so this would be how the shirt would open up. We just cut along the inside of the seam, and we end up with this unfolded shirt that we can paint on. This would be the back, front, whatever. Right? We're doing the same thing with our character. So as I go along, I'm going to be picking where my seams are going to go. I'm going to start with the face just because that's the logical area to go from. Now I'm going to select the face in face mode. So I'm going to hit F11 to get into face mode. And I'm going to jump into my front view. Now as I'm doing this, since I've already smoothed my character, I am in rough display mode. That is 1 on the keyboard. If you're in smooth display mode, you might get some weird results. So I'm going to select the head down to the neck here, kind of like that. Whoops, wrong view. All right. Now some of these I don't want, so I'm going to get rid of those. I'm going to hold Shift, right click, grab Paint Selected Faces, and I will just hold Control and then paint away the edges that I don't want. And I really just want this to be the head. So I might take this up a few more. Yeah, I think I will. I think I'll take this up just a little bit more. I'll leave the neck as part of the body. Now the advantage of UV mapping, other than just being able to paint the character, is since we're doing this for a video game, we also want to have different clothing styles for our characters. In a lot of games, what they end up doing is they'll make the head of the character, and they'll actually have the head of the character separated from the body. So it probably separated right about there. And then you'll have your torso separated right about here, and then your arms are separated about there. And what they do is they swap out, and your legs, of course, swapped here, and your ankles here. And they'll swap out different portions of the character for different outfits. So if you have a short sleeve shirt, then they would just mix and match, you know, arms that don't have sleeves on them with a shirt or whatever. So on and so forth. So pretty much where we're going to be cutting this up are where places that we could cut the model up if we were going to do that. So now that I have the head selected, I'm going to do a UV projection. So UVs, go down to planar. Now we do have other options. You could do a cylindrical projection. You could do a spherical projection for like the head. I'm just going to do a planar and I'm going to cut it up from there. So I'm going to hit apply, but I want to make sure I'm in the correct direction. So assuming you model with Z being your front, then Z is going to be the direction I'm going to project from. I'm going to hit Z, and I'm going to capture my face, and then I'll hit apply. If I bring up my UV editor here, you can see that my head is separated here. Now I can't model on this, or I can't paint on this just yet, but this does give me a starting point. And while I'm here, yeah, I'll just start with the head. Well, this is fine. Now, we also have multiple UV layers in here. So if I right-click and I go down to UV sets, you see how it says demo character shape map 1. Well, every object can have one set or multiple sets. Most of the time, game characters have 2 or 3. One set for the face, one set for the body, and then one set for light mapping. We're going to make multiple sets, and we're going to have each one set up for those features. So since this is the head, I'm going to go ahead up to polygons, and I'm going to go to copy UVs to UV set, and I'm going to go down to copy into new UV set. So I'm going to hit this little button here, and you can give a UV set a name. I'm going to call this face, and then I'll just hit apply and close. Oops, let me grab these. Go in UV mode real quick. You have to make sure it's selected as UVs. Sorry. New UV set, face, apply. So now we get our face separated from all the other pieces, and that's kind of cool because I can go down here to UV set, and you can see map 1 and face. If I go to map 1, we can see we have these here. If I go to face, we have these. Now this shell here, I'm going to go ahead and delete these from my map 1. So I'm going to go back to map 1, select these faces here, and these UVs, and I will go to, there it is, down at the bottom, delete UVs. Okay. And I will jump back over to my face set. That way I don't have extra UVs everywhere. Okay. Now with my face set selected, I am going to do some adjustments to the way the face is projected. Alright, go back into object mode here, and then I will hit F11 to go into face mode. And I'm going to break up the way this face is projected. So actually, I really want to be in edge mode, sorry. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pick, much like we did with our hairline, I'm going to pick an edge that I'm going to use to define the shape of my head. So starting here with my little sideburn is, I'm going to start cutting up along the edge of the face. Now, if you work with, if you modeled and you were on your center axis, like I did mine, you can have symmetry mode on, and it will save you some time. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to my tool settings here. I'm going to hit W on the keyboard to bring up my movement widget. And then symmetry settings, I will set this to the X, since I am on the X axis. So now when I click on one, I click on multiple. And that will speed up my work. And I'm going to go around the ear, much like I did before when I did the hair piece. because the ears are going to be by themselves. Whoops. And then this back of the head, I'm going to let this be its own thing. So I'm going to come down right here along the jawline. And then this neckline here I will carry down like that. So the reason I did it this way is this will give me two different shells. It'll give me one shell for the face, and it'll give me another shell for the back of the head. And then it'll give me individual sets for my ears. Okay, I'm going to go up to polygons and go down to cut UV edges. Okay, now I know it doesn't look like anything happened yet, but if I go back into UV mode and I just double click on the face, we can see that the face is now its own set, and the back of the head is its own set. Alright, so now that we have our face and our head and our ears separated, we can start unfolding everything. We can't just start painting on this just because if you look, there's overlapping edges here along the eyelids, along the edge of the face, so on and so forth. We want to unfold this. Now, if we can try using Maya's automatic solver to do a lot of this stuff, from my experience, the 2016 tools are awful. So it's better to kind of do it by hand, but we can try it and see what happens. So I'm going to double click on my shell. Just make sure you're in UV mode. And then I'm going to go to polygons and then unfold. Now, if Maya is happy, it'll give us a good result the first time around. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to scale this back up. And you can see how awful this thing turned out. That is a terrible, terrible job for unfolding. So I'm just going to Control Z that thing. And instead of using Maya's unfold tool, I'm going to use the smooth tool. So now the smooth tool works a lot like the old legacy tools with the relax and unfold set. So I'm going to go up to tools and I'm going to go down to the smooth tool and I'm going to grab the little options box here. Now it does give me some options here, and we have world or UV space. You can pin border edges and so on and so forth. You can also hit apply and it'll do it automatically for you. I do not like things doing it automatically for me. I like having some control. But you'll see down here we have this little unfold and relax dialog. And what this will let me do is if I click on unfold and I drag, it will start to unfold for me. And I can control how much or how little. If I just want, let's say I have, maybe there's too much bunching up going on, I can hit the relax tool and I can move that and it'll start pulling things apart. Now, depending on what you're doing, sometimes it squishes it together and makes like a little fish. Woo! So you just got to kind of pick and choose what you're using. But I'm going to do an unfold. And I'm just going to unfold the whole thing. And I'm going to go as far as I can without having the face turn inside out. And that's actually a pretty decent unfold right here. We still can't paint on this yet. It's not ready. But it is already 100 times better than that piece of crap we got from this tool. Okay? I don't know why Maya had to ruin itself, but it did. Anyway, but this is a lot better. We can do something with this. You can see that the eyes need some work, and the mouth needs a little bit of work. I'm going to go with the eyes first, that way you can get an idea, see what I did there, of what we're doing. So framing up on the eyes, I'm going to, and actually if you look, you can see which ones are folded and which ones are not. This cluster here is folded on top of each other, same as here. But over here is kind of unfolded, which I like. I'm going to select this inner edge. So I'm going to select this one. Oh, if you can't select it, that just means that your smooth tool is still open. I'm just going to hit Q to get back into my pointer tool. I'm going to select this edge. I'm going to double click around the edge there. See that? select this edge, hold shift, double click, and it'll get that edge. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my smooth tool again. Let me go out to my tool settings. I'm going to grab my smooth tool and I will hit unfold. I'm going to unfold this to see what I get. Not a lot. Not a lot's happening. I'm going to try relax. Now you see as I relax, it goes ahead and it makes this more circular, something that I can actually work with. So I'm going to see what I can get, and then I'll do some unfolding. So I can get this, or I can get that, but I can't get a perfect unfold here. So what it tells me is I have to do some things by hand. And you can go from whichever direction. You can start from here and round them out, or you can start from where we were previously, like this, and round them out. I'm thinking I'm going to try to relax just a tiny bit and then round them out, because this gives me an idea of where things are going. But I have to do one eye at a time, which is kind of terrible. I'm going to go over here. I'm just going to do this eye. I'm going to hit Q to get rid of my smooth tool. And you can see where these are bunching up. So I'm going to start where the vertices or the UVs that I can see. I'm just going to grab these, and I'm going to pull them in. I have to do one at a time here. And I'm just going to round this out and try to eyeball the evenness of this all the way through. And I know there's a lot of eye puns. Just be careful to not flip things over. Like right there, I almost flipped that one on upside down. Okay. I'm going to go around this one and try to get that going. And I know that this is kind of tedious. To my knowledge, at this point in time, Maya does not have a symmetry tool for UV editing. So, one tedious UV at a time, unfortunately. Now, if you don't have this problem in yours, you're probably good to go. But I do have this problem. If you'd like to see what I do to solve this problem, you can continue watching. This is going to take a few minutes of just me going around and being very tedious and basically unfolding this by hand. It's a good skill to learn. Now, you can see how this widget is sometimes in my way. I can hit Q, get my pointer back, and then I can toggle it back on. I'm going to try to do a relax on these. See what I get. So smooth, relax. It's a little better. Unfold. Okay. Now, spacing with UVs is very important. You want to have it as evenly distributed as possible. That way, the amount of color information across one UV quadrant to the next is equal. That way you don't have smearing or tearing or smudging. Now this very inner section is actually the back of the eye. You won't ever see this. This is just a little eye socket so that when you look at a player's face, you don't see an empty void in the back of their head. So a lot of this, I could leave this folded on top of each other and we'd never notice. But for the sake of sanity and for just doing it right, I'm taking the time with it. Okay, so I'm going to say this is okay for this eye. Now I have to go over and do the same thing on this eye. And again, I'm just eyeballing, no pun intended, how my UVs are going to be. That one's in my way. I'll just pull this one. And that's another trick. The widget was in my way. I couldn't click on it, so I just clicked somewhere else and went back. And what you're seeing there, whenever the shell turns all green, I'm just double clicking. I'm not trying to double click, it just happens to be that way. And as I go along this edge, I want to make sure that I'm not turning things inside out. So there we go. You'll see if it does. You can see how it crisscrosses. I will pull that one down, pull this one up. You're not going to break the model by being a little sloppy. You just want to make sure that whatever you're doing is evenly distributed and that it's not on top of each other. And you might be asking, how do I know what I'm clicking on? I'm actually guessing. I'm looking at the edge flow and trying to eyeball where I think the next UV is at. Since they're all kind of on top of each other, I'm just kind of clicking and pulling, and if I pull one in the wrong direction, I just undo, and then I move a different one. So there's no secret, there's no magic. I'm just doing what I can to distribute as evenly as possible. That could be up here some. These are kind of wide. And these bunch together really tight, so the relax tool that I used earlier didn't do a whole lot right here, so I'm not going to bother on this attempt. I'm just going to move some things and see what I get. Okay, how bad is the bunching between the two? It's about the same. And they look fairly similar. This one's not as rounded as that one. But we're going to do our painting probably in Mudbox to save us time. We could paint in Photoshop, but I really hate painting models, character models especially in Photoshop. It's just tedious. Let's see our time here. 12 minutes, not too terrible. But now I have to do the lips. The way I'm going to do the lips is kind of the same way I did the eye. But I'm going to grab, because it's all kind of bunched here, I'm going to do a marquee select, just going to click and drag across the body of the lips here. And it looks like I have a good deal. I'm going to deselect ones that I don't want. So like that one's good. These ones on the lips here, that I'll want. This one I'll want. This part of the philtrum right here, that one I don't need, that one I don't need. And there are a couple on the lip here that I probably don't need. You see my little widget here. So this one I probably don't need. That one I probably don't need. And now I'm going to try relaxing and seeing what I end up with. And I'll know right away if I need those. So if I hit unfold and try to do that, it can't go anymore. So I will relax it. And there, the mouth is open. You can see that this one here, I didn't need it. Nothing really happened, so I can uncheck that. But here we go. This is it relaxed. I'm going to try to do an unfold a little bit more, and then I'll try to relax some, and then I'll unfold some, and then I'll relax some. And you might be thinking, well, you're just redoing and undoing your work. I'm really not. Every time I do a little bit of an unfold, these change, and they space out a little bit, and then when I relax, it softens the curve on these. So this unfold pulls it, right? You can see it spacing out, and this relax tries to soften the hard edges in between. So sometimes it just redoes it. But usually I get something decent. Like right here, this is pretty even spacing all the way through, and I just have some bunching here that I could do by hand. I'm going to keep doing it with the tool as much as I can before I get in there with my hands. So that's too messy. I'm going to undo there. I think this is about as close as I can get. I'll go back one more space. Unfold. Yeah, I think that's about as close as I'm going to get. What I can try doing is selecting a larger area. Say like this. Just make sure I have an even number here. Oh, whoops, I do not want up the face. Along here, down this edge. I'm just checking the edge loop that I end up having. If it doesn't let you click, just marquee. That means to drag your mouse. And let's do an unfold. Do relax. You can see that I'm getting closer to a mouth shape that I can work with and paint on. And a lot of it is just trial and error. I keep backing up and going forward, back up, go forward, and then find something that I can work with. Now, these outer rows I like. This inner row I'm going to deselect, and I'm just going to grab this inner row. And again, if it doesn't let you click, you can marquee. I'm just going to get rid of the tool. I'm going to hit Q. And then I'm going to double click on this one. Whoops. U, and then U. There we go. And I'll bring my tool back up, and let's try to unfold. There we go. It's a little nicer. And that'll work. Again, these very inner edges of the lips here are for the inside of the mouth, but we haven't created an inside of a mouth for this model, so I'm not going to worry about that. I know that this model is just going to be used for the game. I'm probably not going to see, from the angle I'm going to have this character, I probably won't see the mouth, but we will eventually make one. But for now, I'm just going to leave this as is. It looks like it'll work. Okay, so there's my face. That I can model on, or paint on. Now I need to do the head and the ears. How much time do we have? 17 minutes. Okay. I'm going to grab the head. And again, I'm going to grab, I will try Maya's usual unfold and see what I get. That's terrible. I'm going to go ahead and use the smooth tool. So, okay. Let's try relaxing it and then unfolding. Seems to be getting worse and worse. So I think what I'll end up doing, let's see if I can combine these. Let's do an unfold. And then I will use the tool here to relax it. And then unfold some more. That's better. And you can see what I did there is I used Maya's unfold to my advantage. I unfolded it to get roughly the shape that I wanted. Then I used the smooth tool to finish the unfold. And it gave me something that I can actually paint on. And this one doesn't have to be too precise. I can try relaxing a little bit more and then unfolding a little bit more. But really, this is about as close as I need to get. Right here, I need to sew these, and I will do that in just a second. So I'm going to hit Q to get rid of the tool. I'll hit F11 to get to edge mode. These edges are split, so I want to make sure that these are sewn together. And then so polygons, we will do, you can do sew edges or move and sew. Sew edges will sew the edges but not necessarily move them. Move and sew should snap them together. And now you can see, because I have symmetry mode on with my edge mode, inside the UV panel you can see both edges being highlighted. But when I select one, it only selects one. It's because Maya doesn't have, the UVs don't translate quite that way in here. I'm actually going to turn symmetry off because I think it's interfering with my tool. So symmetry off. Close that. According to the editor, these two edges are the same, so it should let us sew these together, but it's not going to. Makes me curious. If it doesn't let me sew them, then it makes me wonder if that's separated. It is. Okay, so I will fix that. You probably don't have this issue on your model because we most likely have different models. Oh. And actually, in that case, I will turn symmetry back on. That way I do it on both sides. So in theory, that one should be open on that side of the head. It is. That one is sewn together. That one is sewn together. I'm just pulling up to see if it's going to separate. It looks like it's good though. Okay. So now I should be able to sew this together. Yay! Move and sew. Creative problem solving at its finest. Okay, so I'm going to go into UV mode. I'm going to grab this, and I will orient this. This is the top of the head. That's the bottom of the head. So I will orient this kind of the same way. So this top of the head, ear slots, bottom of the head. I will also unfold the ears while I'm here. Make sure you save your work. I should probably do that now because I haven't saved in a while. So I will do this as 13 UVs. Okay, so I have face, I have the back of the head, now I need the ears. So I'm going to grab one ear, and the ears are currently being projected from the front, but I really want to project these from the side, so I'm going to reselect these in face mode. I'll just do one ear at a time. And then UVs, planar, and I will capture this. Since my left axis is my x-axis, I will, so there's that one for left and right. One ear. Let's grab the other one. Planar, the other ear. This one is one ear, that one is the other. Okay. UV mode. Let's see what Maya does when it unfolds this. So unfold. Let's bring this up. So that's what Maya tries to do on this one. I'm going to see what Maya does on this one. Since I have two ears here, I can just experiment, really. There's that unfold. Here's this one's relax. Okay, let's try this one. Let's relax it a little bit, unfold it some more, relax a little bit, unfold it some more. That's too far. It's going to grab this line here. And all I'm doing right now, you can see this is twisted a little bit. I don't like that twisting. I'm going to try to straighten this out as much as I can. But this time around, I'm going to use the Optimize tool and see if it'll work for me. Of course, I do have the smudge and the lattice tools. These let me pull UVs. Let's do Optimize. Let me grab the toolbox for Optimize. Pin, I'm going to run this a few iterations, and I will set this to uniform. Not quite what I was going for, but let's see if I can smooth that. Nope. Smoothing brings me back to where I was, so that's not helpful. I'm going to back this up. Actually, I'll put it back to 4 and I'll do world space. So not exactly the way that I want it to go. Let's see, what other options do I have here? Let's see what I can do with our smudge tool. Now the smudge tool seems to be having an area of influence based on where I click. So like if I click on this one, it's sort of like soft select. It pulls the ones around it, but the one that I'm clicking on, I have the most influence. So it'll let you get some of this unwrapped. Woo, wrong tool. And again, all I'm doing is trying to make this as even as possible so that I can draw on it or paint on it. And as I go through, it's kind of like a spider web. I'm just adding more and more space in between these just to even it out as much as I can. We also have the lattice tool, and this will let us pull an area by group, so I can kind of expand as I go. Now, if you want these to be more ear-shaped, you're welcome to cut them up a little bit more, but I'm not going to separate them. Since I'm going to be doing this in Mudbox, I'm not too concerned about the entire shape. I just want this to be evenly spaced. So about as even as I can get it anyway. I still have another ear to do. There's one ear. I would much rather have this more spaced out more because there's some inconsistencies here. But I'm going to call it as that's close enough. Because we're not going to be like right up into the person's ear. So I'm not too worried. I'm just going to have an ear shape painted in there. Alright, so now for the second ear. I'm going to grab this in UV mode. And I will do an unfold. Let's expand this out. And I'll put it next to this one. Give me some space. Let's see. Let's see what Optimize does for me. Well, it looks like I'm going to be doing it by hand once more. Let's see, how far of a deviation am I? I'm not too far off. I got to straighten this and that line. So I'll grab my smudge tool again. Just going to pull these out. Ah. Don't mind the silence. There's just not much really to say. It's just trying to even these out as best I can. So there are my two ears. And then as far as my texture space goes, I could hit Maya's layout tool, but it's going to give me a result that I don't want. I'm going to want my face to occupy the majority of the shell. I want the back of the head to occupy the second portion, and then the ears to be the final. So I'm going to grab the face. I'm actually going to orient these kind of the way I want them to be in the shell. I think this is going to fit best over here. I do need this to be a bit larger in proportion. And then the ears I'm not too concerned about. I'm going to take this ear. Actually, I'll take them both. And they will probably fit nicely right over here. I scale them down and rotate them. Then I'm going to orient that into my 0, 1 space. Let me hit this dark picture. Again, the face of the model is the most important piece of the model, so I'm going to want that to occupy as much as possible. So I'm orienting this in a manner where the face can get as much as possible, and then I will just do something with these ears. So this one, for example, can go there, and this one can go over here. I'm not too concerned. The face will be better there. That'll probably work. And now I just need to do the eyeballs. So let me go and do those real quick. They're not going to take a long time. Eyeballs are just spheres. So I'm going to grab them, 1 and 2. Go to my UV shell. In order to see the eyeballs and the head in the same plane, I do need these to exist on that shell. So let's grab this. So with all this selected, I'm going to go to UV mode, and I will grab this first eyeball shell. And I also want the other eyeball shell. So this one, and then this one. So what I will do is I will go ahead and project these just so we can tell the difference. I'll select one eyeball, and instead of doing a front projection, because I don't want to do any cutting on this thing, I'm just going to do a spherical. So there's that one. I'm going to turn the body off so that I can see what I'm doing. But in this little projection window, I can change the orientation of this sphere. So it looks like the front is captured here, and then the back of it is captured kind of around here. And that's actually not too bad. I can use the relax tool to sort of do what I need to do with it. And with that one, grab UVs, tool, smooth. Now, if I wanted this to spider web more around, I could cut these faces here, or these edges here, and get that more open. but I'm not going to go too crazy. I said it like 6 times. I'm not going to go too crazy. So there's one. I'll do the other one very quickly. Same deal. Oh. Face mode, grab that. I'll do a spherical projection, which will look eerily like the other one. Go into UV mode, and grab my tool, smooth it out. I'll do an unfold. Relax a little bit, unfold it. I'll do more. Both my eyes. Now, the back of the eye is not as important as the front of the eye, so that's why I'm focusing with the front of the eye here. I need this one and this one. I need the body to turn back on. And then I will position these on the shell. Let's see, that's the left eye. Technically that's the right eye. I'll put that down here. I'll put this one here. You can put them wherever you want. It's just wherever. If you can fit them both in the same space, or in the same place, like right there, so you know they're both eyes, yeah, that's fine too. And there we go. So we have our face, our eyes, and our ears all set on their own shell, and we can project this in the Photoshop and paint on it, or we can take it into Mudbox. Alright, so there's that. When I come back, we'll do the body. Alright, I will see you guys next time. Don't forget to save your work.